Whoop.
Yep.
I think we're live.
We are. If we were dead, we would be the ones getting investigated.
Keith is on.
Who?
Hey, Keith.
What?
Keith, Big Daddy.
Keith?
And Tyler. Hey, everyone.
Oh,
Yeah. Keith is watching. Are you watching with Hazel, I hope?
What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday.
It is. Yeah.
Spirit Talk with Spirits.
Yeah, and you can tell we're missing somebody.
Yeah, Panda Express isn't going to be here tonight. He's got other obligations. I mentioned something about
Some little kid.
something. Yeah.
Something about a kid.
He's being a dad. He's been a dad, right, Keith? You understand that.
Hey,
now.
Kristen.
So, hey, Kristen, Tyler, what's going on? Tabitha, thanks for joining us. Everybody jumping in so quick.
Hi, Megan.
Wow. So
Kristen
cool.
comes home in a couple weeks. Woo.
Yep. So we're back from St. Albans. We just got back from setting up. We were speakers.
Yay.
For the first time ever. Big shout out to EnigmaCons
Angie and the team did a great job
inviting us to be one of their guest
Lobbying, right?
speakers at EnigmaCons. We were completely prepared, but essentially nervous wrecks right up to the point. Everything from, is all the audio video equipment that we brought going to work? Are people going to actually show up that want to listen to us?
Because we were first thing in the morning. So.
10 a.m. I mean, the coffee hadn't even kicked in yet, but
I will tell you, the super call out thank you to, there's a crew from New York, Ted's Paranormal.
Ted's.
There were like 6 of them, and then 2 nurses. I apologize for forgetting their names. They were there. I think
It's Berg! What's up, Melissa?
but
What's up, girl?
they joined us.
Melissa, I hope you're doing well.
I know. We saw Melissa Crubs on. We call her Berg.
Yeah, Berg. It's an inside joke. People in Virginia will get
Yeah,
it.
EnigmaCons was great.
Yeah, we did a great job, and it was a fantastic event. We went up there, set up a new table with some new merch, and did very well, I think, for that. So
yeah.
if anybody's in the chat or watching this later on that was at the EnigmaCons and stopped by our booth, send us up a hi. We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming by and talking to us. We appreciate you, buying some merch from us and putting some gas in the tank and doing all those things that we need to do. But yeah, it's a good time. St. Albans is always fun, and it was really active. Like after EnigmaCon, after the I guess the expo was over and the speaking, we then did an investigation that night where the speakers actually went to locations and led groups that were brought to them in a 45-minute investigation. And we got, if you're familiar with St. Albans, we got
Melissa, they'll have it next year.
Yeah, we got the 3rd floor.
The
what they call the bird cage and the dragon room.
I sent John to the dragon room. I was like, I'm staying up here.
There's obviously, we talked about this before that
Hey, Darren.
That birdcage area is where I got punched in the leg by something that night. So I was very excited to get back up there. You're right. I was happy.
Hey,
but
Brandon.
It worked really good. There's Pandy's and there's Brandon. What's up?
Yeah, it was good. And we were a little worried, I think, first. But the great thing is a lot of experienced investigators were there. So we just kind of let them do their thing, and but it was the next to last group that came through with Pandora's group. They were Pandora Peregrination. They were in it. And stuff just started taking off. It was quite crazy.
Yeah. All right, Lynn, I'm going to hand you the little red controller thing there. She's going to take over on the comments so that we can get started.
But we're hoping that this time, I told him I was going to say, hopefully we didn't bring something home again with us. Not as in a human. Maybe a kitty.
We had some stuff last night. I'm not going to lie. We had some shit happen in the house last night.
So if anybody can do remote viewing, let us know if like a little kitty cat.
I had to make a round with my Glock and with my booger hooker off the trigger to figure out who was breaking into the house. But it was weird. It woke us both up and we were both like, what the hell was that? It sounded weirdly like a kitten meowed, and it sounded like it was right between us. And the weird thing is we both set up at the same time because our daughter had fostered some kittens from the SPCA over the weekend.
Like, did she bring one back?
And we were like, immediately thought, I woke up and I forgot that she had taken them back to the SPCA, and I was like, Aaron's kittens got out. But it wasn't the case. And then as we sat there, oddly enough, we saw this light up the door of the bedroom, and it was It was like a blue light, like.
Come on, go on.
And I'm like, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, light just came on, and there's nobody here. And that's what got me to thinking there was somebody in the house.
You gotta remember it's 2:30 in the morning, so.
But so I'm like, I grab a gun, right, and I'm like, something's going on here. That might have come from the garage. So I'm making my rounds, you know, and I open the gun safe, and the door swings open and bangs the wall, and I go, wow, wow. Thinking somebody's in the bedroom, but anyway, it ended up being nothing. But we were
the kitty cat we don't get. I don't know what that was.
What the hell was going on?
Because all the cats, we have adult cats and they're all accounted for. This was a very loud, high pitched kitten cry, and it was not outside; it was inside.
So I hope you got my message. We're going to talk about your place tonight. We're going to play some stuff that we captured up there with this little guy here, which is the topic that we're going to be discussing tonight. But first, we do want to say this. Now that EnigmaCon is wrapped up, we have another con coming up.
Con.
MJ Dixon is bringing the Sage Tribe to Virginia from the UK, coming across that pond, and bringing her show to Belgrove Plantation. And we have a vendor's booth that we're going to sit up there along with FPRI and Covert, Haunted Paranormal Events. MPI is going to be there.
Supernatural swap.
So here's the deal with this, right? Their VIP tickets are sold out. And I made a post about it earlier today, so you can go on RVA Facebook page and check that out. Or you can go to Belgrove Plantation, or you can go to Sage Paracon at Haunted Belgrove Facebook page and see about tickets. VIP tickets are sold out. The weekend tickets are still available, which is admission to the grounds and some other things. And I think you get to do the investigation. I'm not sure, but go check that out. But one of the good things that they've done is they've opened up the vendor tables in the expo area to the general public with a free roam ticket. So you can come on the grounds, you can go to all the vendors, you can go to the speakers' tables and actually speak to them. You can't do the investigation, you can't go inside the plantation, and you can't attend the speaker series. But
you can come see us.
You can come see us. I mean, what's not to do? So, if you don't buy the ticket, at least come by. It's free to hang out for the day, and it's a beautiful place around the grounds. So it's epic. It's one of our favorite places to be, and we'll be there in full force with all of our new swag and our new table.
Yes. And Kristen, yes, you can come. It's Memorial Day weekend, so you will be home from college. It's May 27th, if I have the date right.
Right.
That whatever that weekend is.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa Kristen is at school. She's at JMU. She's got 2 more weeks left.
She's a dude.
I hope she's studying for her finals soon. So Melissa, she'll be back home here in a couple weeks.
Unless she fails her finals, then we're gonna
disown her.
No, she won't do that. She's
doing great. Speaking of which, real quick, everybody, I know we're gonna get to topic, but Kristen actually gave a speech in one of her classes on paranormal. That's my girl.
And impressed.
She shared some EVPs. So I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, how often do you hear a college student giving up in front of a class, giving a speech on paranormal?
She played some evidence and everything for me as a big kid. So good job. That's our girl. But we'll get into some other things first and foremost. But we had another topic of conversation come up in some of the DMs and side chats that we have going on with folks. And we thought we would kind of expand what we talked about the other week with the different recorders and talk about another device that's has, I remember when this first came out, right? The PSB7, the Spirit Box, or some people call it, the original was the Frank's Box, or Ghost Box. But essentially what it is, if you don't know what this is, it is a compact digital radio that has been hacked to scan all the frequencies. The first generation model scanned AM and FM. It has a front and backward sweep, and a speed adjust on it. The V2s came along, and I believe this one is a V2.
No, that's a V1.
No, this one's got the antenna. Okay.
No, it's not the newer one, because the newer one has temperature and a light and is much, much, much louder.
But they expanded into some of the upper and lower frequencies. So essentially it was a Japanese or Chinese radio. that scan AM/FM frequencies in the lower and upper bands of what we see in the U.S. So it expanded its range. But it is an ITC research device. It essentially is designed to capture EVP as it's occurring through the speaker. So how does it actually work is one of the big questions. And I'll be honest with you, this thing, I have a love-hate relationship with the Spirit Box. When we first got it, I could not stand it. I could not stand it. Like every time Lynn would turn it on, I'd be like, okay, turn it off. It's annoying. And we'll turn it on a little bit louder. But if you've watched TV, this is a thing that goes.
That's the quiet version. The first one's very quiet. As everybody knows, you have to have a speaker pretty much with the first version.
Yeah.
Second one's quite loud.
But
it is annoying. But
regardless, Lynn's always loved it, and she's always had great success with it. And it's another one of those tools that some people will say that, oh, you're just hearing radio interference. That's not really voices, and that's not phenomenon. It's just you're getting lucky in capturing a word that's coming through from a radio station. And that's true. That can happen.
Mm-hmm.
What you, as an experienced investigator, should be able to do is to comprehend what's relevant and what's not and what's interference. So this goes without saying, without any other device, that if you can't understand it, it probably doesn't count. Because when you investigate the paranormal and you're looking for answers, your answers you want to be clear. And just little blips and bloops that you get on this thing, if you go, what did it say? I didn't. Can you say that again? Just ignore that. But what you are listening for, and what is amazing, is you can actually capture several different types of phenomena on this that are relevant. And later on in the show, we're going to play some of the best clips that we've captured from, and I think the ones that we're going to play for the most part all came from it's about an hour and a half session with Sheena and Lacey from Dunlora. They were leading one of the early on investigations, and we were there and helped out. But it was a good, I mean, we were getting relative clear responses directly to our questions and unless the person that was on the other end of that radio knew any history about Dunlora at 2 a.m.
Could hear you.
There's no way.
But not only that, even at Bell Grove, speaking of Bell Grove, John Sullivan, and I think it was you, me, John Sullivan, maybe Kristen, but anyway, you talk about rare, you talk about this definitely, no way was this radio. We were up in the caretaker's house, second floor, and we had, I apologize, I forgot what we asked, but remember we heard, yes'm, that came very clear, two ways, through the Spirit Box first, it said, yes'm, just like that, with a southern tone, and then we were like, did we hear that right? And actually on the recorder, we got it without the Spirit Box, we got yes'm. So to me, that was almost like a double bell.
What was it? What did it?
Yes'm.
Yes'm? Okay. You spell that? Can you use that in a sentence? What's the definition?
Yes, I'm gonna beat you over the head if you don't let me learn. But no, I mean, but to me, I thought that was kind of cool, kind of validated, because I mean, you don't hear that word on the radio. Mm-hmm. Well, not the radio I listen to. I don't.
Yeah, but they've come a long way.
Oh yeah, that too.
I remember we were in the
that was at Henricus.
Sneeze, and we heard.
It was at Henricus. She
right.
Sneezed, and through the box that said "Bless you," we all went.
We've also heard it called in a bitch.
Oh yeah.
And you don't call in bitches on the radio. Can't even say that word on the radio. So go be careful. Don't get reported to the FCC. But they've come a long way, and you can pretty much just guarantee that it's going to be a staple in the paranormal field for a long time. There's been a lot of advancements with it. Some of the newer models that they come out with actually have filters on it where you can filter down the skipping and the noise just to hear the responses. Mm-hmm. There's lots of tricks that you can do with this. They've got shadow detectors built into them and just all kinds of things.
And the SB11 is a dual one.
The SB11 is basically 2 7s, hence the 11.
I wasn't a big fan of it, but again, that's just, these are all the same with any device, right? It's our personal preference, I think. And actually, what when Tyler mentioned about the SD session, he said that they used to have been in Hall last week. This is, as we all know, when you do an SD session, we've used it in sensory deprivation as your white noise, because it is, as we all know, if you've got those headphones on, you're listening to that. One, you can really go to sleep, trust me. But the good thing, or the reason I think it's used so much for SDs is, everybody can say I have no noise canceling headphones on, right? But I may say, no, I can't hear him, and then I really can't. But when you've got that stuff turning through your ears, I know I've done it plenty of times. I can't hear a thing on top of my noise canceling, but so your goal is to focus on it and repeat out what you hear and match, and see if it's matching the questions that are being asked. So I think as we all have experienced, there's some great things with the SDs. I think one of our favorites was at Wildwood with the sensory deprivation. That was crazy.
Yeah, and it's like I said, that's one application for it. It works great by itself. There are some tricks, and I'll share one of our little tricks with you.
Do you mind if I answer Darren's question real quick?
How do you feel about the S box?
If that's that red one?
That is the S box.
We just actually sold it. Well, we sold ours this weekend. I think some people really like it, and they have maybe it was us. I personally did not have a good experience with it. I don't know. I just got too much radio all the time. So I do go back to the SB7, but I do have the second model. But I have seen people use it, and it works great for them. So that's just my personal opinion. It was a great speaker. Don't get me wrong, I like the fact that it had multifunctionality and stuff. It was a great external speaker, but for a Spirit Box, I just could not get it to work.
Not knocking it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we know people. We've talked to people at EnigmaCons, obviously, when we sold the one that we had, that absolutely love it, and actually,
again, it works for some people, right?
But we just preferred the PSB7. So, and again, there's lots of different devices out there. This is just one. The Shack Hack. You can actually convert old AM/FM radios from like the 70s into these things. A lot of that goes to the older the better.
And a lot of people are making, like you said, custom versions.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's a love-hate. You either love it or you don't. And some people think that the Ghost box died with the Frank's box. The very first original box that was ever done. But good luck finding one of those now. So this is actually designed by a company that specializes in this type of equipment, as well as I think it's a Pro Measure device actually, who also makes a lot of electrical commercial equipment for testing, like EMF meters and things of that nature. The guy that made the Mel meter also did this, I believe.
Yeah, Brad and I agree with you. I couldn't get the 11 to work. That's why I didn't buy one.
Yeah. But here's a neat little trick for you guys. If you've got one and you hate that skipping, obviously they make devices now. It's like $100. You can get something that plugs in, into this that will essentially cancel the noise. You can buy them with the noise canceling, and they're and that of course increases the price. But here's a neat little trick for you if you just want to try something like that out. And this is something I actually love, and I'm going to start doing now. But this is a newer noise gate, and it's essentially an electric guitar pedal, right? But what the noise gate does is it cuts out noise coming into your amp. And you can essentially take this, plug it into a 9-volt power supply, which you can get off of Amazon. You can get like 12 of these things for $5, which is just a 9-volt battery that attaches to the back and plugs into the top to power the noise gate. The Spirit Box plugs in to the headphones, like so. And then you get another one that comes out and plugs into your external speaker if you want to. And when that's turned on, you simply adjust the threshold here until that skip is gone. And I think this device is like $35 or $40. So all in with the cables, you're probably, at least when we bought them, you're in under $50. And it gives you a level of tuning. You can get very detailed with the tuning because it's a knob as opposed to a button that you're pushing. But it essentially does the same thing. So it's bulky But again, it's a personal preference. And if you ever wanted to just try it, you can pick these up off of Amazon. You can pick them up at Guitar Center, any place like that. Again, it's a newer true bypass noise gate.
And that's what you used to have hooked up to our portal, right?
Well, and that's where the idea came from. So this thing here.
And he built it. The reason I asked is
you might recognize it. It is a.
John built that a long time ago. Like a long time.
It's a portal box, and this is based on Steve Huff's design. Steve Huff's one of the guys that that sold these earlier on, and he essentially was very open with what he used. He even actually went out and listed everything that he purchased off of Amazon.
He helped you too, right?
And links to Amazon on where to go and buy these things so that you could build your own. And it worked great. We used it for a little bit. The problem with it is it weighs about 8 pounds. It's very bulky. It's big, especially just to carry around for a spirit box session. So I lost interest in it really fast. But the noise gate was a part of that build. And essentially I just said, hey, let me try this. I'm going to plug the noise gate directly into the spirit box and see if I can get the same results. And did. But this essentially, this is where technology is going. They've essentially taken this now and condensed it down to where you can just buy a PSP7 that's got this noise gate suppression built into it, and you can get rid of that skip, which is really the only reason why I hated this box.
But that one also, though, I think the good thing about that is, as we know, if you plug in, say, an external speaker, especially with the early model of PSP7, you almost always had to use the Faraday bag, because if you use the speaker, which you have to hear the darn thing, what does it do? It then it serves as an antenna, right? And I would get more and more radios like, oh, there it goes in the bag. If you notice, the Faraday bag kind of has gone away with the newer model. I can't speak to the 11, but with the second model of the PSP7, I never have to use the Faraday bag. It has something, I guess it says something built in.
It's got improved shielding inside the box. So and they put on an extra little mile and put in some tinfoil to protect this from outside interference.
And that's what I'll do is when I run it, I'll turn it on, and first I'll let it just run through. I want to see, because it really does depend on your location, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll see if you go through a couple cycles and don't hear anything, then I'm like, okay, good. We don't have a lot of interference. Because we've been in places before, just you hear, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to use the spirit box because all I'm getting is radio, and it would be very hard to decipher the two. So I think like what Melissa was calling out, as we all know, you have to learn how to decipher it, right? So you are running the chance that you get some of the radio, but like John said, hearing it over the skip, which we actually have had some really cool cool voices coming through. Yep. But that's the one thing I always have to, and I rely on John, his technical thing is like, which I've learned from him, is making sure that you're not using something that's going to serve as an amplifier, right? It's going to serve as an antenna to increase that interference.
Yeah. Hey, so let's play a video here real quick. So again, like I said, I think Sheena was on. Dunlora is one of our favorite small locations. It's a historic bed and breakfast in Mineral, Virginia. And Sheena owns it, and she has lots of experience with the paranormal. And this building she bought this building and basically stripped it down to the studs and rebuilt it from the ground up. It's absolutely gorgeous. And claims of activity there have ranged from seeing large masses walking up and down the stairs, hearing screams inside the building. But Sheena, through some of her research, had actually determined that this inn was, in fact, it was always an inn, and a few other things. It was believed that it was also a speakeasy during the Prohibition era, as well as the brothel. So we've gotten some evidence there that kind of leads us to believe that this is true. So like I said. And I will say this as well. Some nights this thing just won't make a peep. And then other nights it's the only thing that they want to mess with. And it's just like, to me, honestly, it's whatever's easier for the spirit. Mm-hmm. We don't know how they want to communicate with us. If they want to do it through a recorder, if they actually want to do audio, video, if they want to use the spirit box. But if the spirit box is working, stick with it. And this is what we did this entire night. And we actually did get some relevant questions answered to us on that. Yeah, that session in Intel was crazy, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But let me play a clip right now from the Dunlore Inn. And this is actually a response to us just asking, starting the session up, asking if anyone's there. And what you want to listen for in this and with anything is the answer to occur over multiple skips. And every time you hear that, it's skipping a frequency. So it's going from essentially 100.1 to 101.0 over those skips. So 10 skips is completely changing to a different station. And this actually came back to us over multiple skips. Hope this works.
You don't have to be afraid. You say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
That was over 4 skips.
You don't have to be afraid. You say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
That was over 4 skips. So, I mean, you saw my response, and everybody heard that, and everybody said the same thing immediately. That was a high. And it occurred immediately after Sheena said, it's okay, you can say hello, and then 4 seconds later, we had a high that occurred over, multiple skips in that box. And that's the kind of thing that you're looking for.
I'm sorry, I've been reading this comment.
That's the kind of thing that you're looking for with your spirit box sessions. And you can get those responses. And that's really what we want to hear. That's the type of thing we want to hear.
Well, and like you said at the beginning, for whatever reason, because I asked them this right before we started this show, I was like, why is it that, and I'm not asking like names, but a lot of times we're just standing there and it'll get, hello, Lynn. Hi, Lynn. I don't think anyone on the radio is calling out my name, but I have been out in the battle. I think the best thing was out of the Lockett House. Yeah, way out in the battlefield near Farmville. We were out there at midnight, remember? Nobody's out there was so much quiet out there, like you couldn't hear a cricket. There was nothing out there. We're standing at the edge of the battlefield and I'm running the spirit box. And I introduced myself and I said, this is John. And very clearly, and this one actually was captured on the recorder through the spirit box, like that white noise, as it says, and it was literally in this tone. It goes, hello, Lynn. And it was very weird. It was, hello, it's that pitch. So that's what I mean, me personally, I think that's when I think, oh, that's a pretty good, validation.
Yeah.
So.
You know what? I'll even go out and say that I believe that like my whole mindset on the spirit box changed with that investigation at Dunlore. I think prior to going into that and getting those responses, I really just didn't like the device, and I left there like loving it. So, the clear responses and it are something you do that, and of course you hold yourself to that standard, right? You've been investigating a while. You kind of want to hear those clear responses. That's what you're looking for. If you're just starting, it's kind of hard to differentiate between what might or may not be. And I'm not saying that everything that you hear, every little clip or part of a word isn't it trying to communicate with you, but the higher standard that you hold to yourself, the better evidence you're gonna get. And when there's no question about what it said, when you can share something with somebody like we're doing on the stream here tonight with these clips, and nobody's having to say, "What? I didn't hear that. You're nuts." And people will say that, but I personally don't think I am nuts. Yeah. Not when it comes to this. I mean, other things, yes, but not this.
And we'll circle back to Brandon's question because that's something I actually talked to him before the stream. So we'll circle back there because I think you have a.
Yeah, well, yeah, Brandon, we're gonna come back to your question. I'm not ignoring you. You're our biggest fan, right? But something else that you have to kind of differentiate with between this and something else I love about this is not only can you hear responses coming through the speaker over the skips, you can also hear them coming through. You can hear I guess at that point I wouldn't even say they're EVPs.
I don't know what they are.
You can hear AVPs coming through the white noise on this box. And the way that you can differentiate between what is a spirit box response and what is an disembodied voice is if you hear the words and you don't hear the skips, it's not the box isn't breaking up. Excuse me. Isn't breaking up the response, then pretty much at that point you've either enhanced an EVP to the point to where you could hear it, or it's something that you would have heard otherwise, but just the white noise clears it out. And I mentioned it with the recorders. You know, is an EVP an EVP? Is there just a disembodied voice that's so soft and low below your ability to hear it that you just can't, and this kind of pulls it out? No more tacos. Yeah, it's tacos. That's right. That's the problem. But let's play another one real quick. So we're going to continue with that same session through all of these clips, and let you. We're just going to kind of bore it up to it, so that you can experience what we did there that night.
Are you 8 years old?
So that there sounded like. I don't know. She just said something about an 8-year-old boy and said you can touch it. I'm not going. I mean, I don't know, but it said it twice, and I didn't hear it. It was definitely a male voice, and it's not something that I heard being broken up by the spirit box. So it was actually coming through over the white noise. But again, a very clear response. That was a sentence, so it wasn't just a blurp or a bleep, and it was over multiple skips. So I have a hard time believing that was any type of a radio interference. Dan said a question. I'm going to let Lynn take this one because she's actually kind of the expert on the spirit box. Well, you know, I mean, how often do you see one in my hand? She's the box.
Did you hear that?
Master.
The spirit box. I usually use it on 150 for the PSP7. Now MJ, when I worked with her, I know she was using 2 or 250. So sometimes I will alternate. But the slower speeds for me tend to, I don't know, I think they draw out too much interference in my opinion. Like if it's too slow, I'm going to hear, hey, it's W104 saying, or something like that. Versus when it's faster.
Okay, excellent radio.
Versus when it's faster, you're not going to, you have that less risk of hearing the DJ talking because it's scanning the radio and depending on your location as to whether you have enough or lower amount of interference. There's our ghost kitty.
You see a cat?
No, I don't. You see a
anyway, gosh. But again, in some situations where hold on. In some situations where we're just not getting any radio interference, like if we're in a basement of a house and we're surrounded by concrete, or we're in a prison or something like that, Snickers, then slowing the speed down will be fine.
Yeah. And
you really kind of base that off of how much interference that you're getting. We've even switched it from, we usually run it on FM, but we've also actually, if we're getting too much FM interference, we'll switch it to AM.
But speaking of like the speed, like I said with MJ, when she ran, I noticed hers was at 200, 250 because what she and I did at Bell Grove, she ran hers and I ran mine, kind of like our makeshift SB11, right? And that's when I found out she was using a different speed because I said, wait a minute, So, but when we were in sync, that was part of the video that I know I put out a long time ago, but it was really cool that how we were getting the same responses or similar. They weren't the same, but we were running, and that was something I learned too. If you're going to do it with somebody with the synchronization, that was out loud. The other thing I've done is at St. Albans, actually with someone else, we both did in the same room, headphones, spirit box. We had the exact same settings on. We started at the same time. And you were part of that, and some others, they were asking questions, and they said that we were giving the exact same replies, exact same explanations like we were both saying, you're talking too fast, slow down. A male said this, or a female. So that to me was kind of, I don't know, that was enlightening, if you will.
Yeah.
The fact that he and I were saying the exact same things to the questions that John and the others were asking. So, but yeah, the speed I do tend to run at around 150. It's usually my go-to speed. Maximum I'll usually go to is 200. But
yeah, good question. Where's your favorite place you've ever investigated, Michael? That's tough, because there are so many, and but I wouldn't say it's one particular place. I mean, one of my favorite places to investigate is the Cold Harbor battlefield, and I've said it before, but that's one of the first places that we investigated, and one of the first places we captured our first Class A EVP. And it's also a place that you can go to any time of day and expect to get some really good EVPs, or even have spirit box sessions. We rolled it through battlefields. We went through Gettysburg and went to every car stop along the driving tour and didn't even get out of the car. We ran spirit box in the car and got responses.
that was crazy.
We were driving down the road and we're like, okay, well, when we get somewhere you want us to stop, just tell us and we'll
that
pull
was
over.
crazy.
And we went about another 200 yards and it went, stop. And like, okay, what? And we sat there and we had a really good session.
That was the day that we walked out and it said turn around and it said go back, and we were laughing. We're like, why is it saying go back? And that's the story that we told where the tree limb almost crushed Kristen's car.
Yeah.
He went back and he had just moved it and that tree limb missed it.
Yeah, but I love battlefields. Lynn might have a different answer.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know. I think about that and I'm like, what, when I look back and I said, what is like my favorite? Is it because there could be different reasons, right? We go, as you guys know, we travel with FBI a lot. We travel with Covert and Supernatural and MPI. I think sometimes those are favorite trips, right? But I think, I don't know, the ones that kind of stand out so far, in June, John and Kristen and I of ourselves are going to Madison Seminary. Cannot wait for that. And a whole big group of us going to Ohio in August. But I think up until now, Wildwood definitely stands out. I will say that. I don't know. There was something about that place. Hinsdale, we've gone twice. There was that one experience that stood out. But I look at it when I say what was my favorite place. There's a couple things. Hinsdale, when I go there, it's just beautiful. And it feels like when we left the first time, I was like, it was calling me back. It was weird. It was that comforting feel. It was a weird comforting feel, but it was weird. But as far as activity, I don't know. There's quite a few because, like he said, everywhere we've gone, there's been St. Albans. Of course, is always something happens there, always. But
as of late, that's really been a new place for us. I mean, we're rediscovering St. Albans in so many ways.
In a different way, different stories. Fairfield Infirmary, if you haven't gone, Fairfield was pretty cool. I will tell you that. Aside from the bats, the bats not fun.
All right. So.
All right.
Going on to our next clip that we'd like to share with you guys. This is a very clear response to a question that Sheena was asking. It was Sheena or Lacey, I can't remember which, but one of the two, maybe both of them actually were asking the same question, but it was in relation to the rumor of someone being hurt during a fight at the Dunlora.
Was there ever a big fight here between two men over a woman? Over one of the ladies? Who was fighting? Did you argue? Was there ever a big fight here between two men over a woman? Over one of the ladies? Who was fighting? Did you argue?
I love that one. I love that one. And I'll tell you why. That's a good example to share with everyone, because after the second question there, I think it was Lynn that said, were you fighting? You hear a male go up.
Yeah.
And I think I believe that was radio interference. And you saw everybody react to it, but nobody said anything. And then clear as a bell, there was a female that came through that said, I don't think so. And that's another example of a response that wasn't interfered with by the skips of the spirit box. So I have to believe that was something that was just brought out through white noise, or what I call a white noise EVP. And again, a direct full sentence response to our question about that fight.
We've had subsequent investigations there that have actually kind of supported that, because that was a couple years ago, I think. Well, but we've like I said, we've been to Dunmore several times. Love it. But yeah, we've had some supplemental or subsequent sessions, not just with spirit box, but other methods too, that support, if you will, the theory or the understanding that there was like a lover's quarrel, or like I think you're going to play the one about the speakeasy about the history there. So again, I agree. I think that's just it's cool when you hear a response that doesn't come over through the direct frequencies.
Yep. So let's go to another one. Same session, same location. Again, like I said, all these come from it. This is one of the responses that we got that is not a white noise EVP. I believe that this was actually a spirit box response, where we were talking about the speakeasy, and I was just kind of role playing, what does a guy got to do to get a drink around here, that type of thing, and actually got a response that I love, and you'll find out why in a minute.
Around here, let's get a drink.
Uh-oh. Ladies, you have a visitor knocking. It's him. It's him. Hey.
Yeah, I just sat down.
He's really knocking.
That's my man. Don't you touch him.
Ladies, you have a visitor. What is that?
Vixen? Is that what
I thought it said whiskey.
Whiskey or whiskey?
Would you like some whiskey, or do you want me to give him some whiskey?
Around here, let's get a drink.
Uh-oh. Ladies, you have a visitor knocking. It's him. It's him.
Hey.
Yeah, I just sat down.
He's really knocking.
That's my man. Don't you touch him.
Ladies, you have a visitor. What is that?
Vixen? Is that what
I thought it said whiskey.
Whiskey or whiskey?
Would you like some whiskey, or do you want me to give him some whiskey?
I did. I did want to.
Agree. It was whiskey. We listened to it after the fact, and because when you're in the moment of investigating, like John said at the very beginning, how many times we said, "What did it say?" Because sometimes you get replies that you're not expecting, right? And I think that's why if I honestly am listening for an answer, and if I honestly can't understand it, I toss it and I go, I'm not sure, right? But when you hear something and you're trying to listen to it, a lot of times we'll go back and listen to it again to make sure that we can decipher exactly what it said. So that's how it did come out and say whiskey.
Yeah, hey Donnie, good to see you on stream, and good to see you guys at St. Albans too. We really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Sorry it didn't feel real good early on, but we're glad we got to investigate with you. So another one of the stories that we got of a spirit box response, again, that was related to the location itself, is Sheena actually found a book. A register book that sat at the front that was just full of names from back at the period of which this was believed to be a speakeasy and a brothel. And I was kind of fascinated with that book. And we started kind of questioning about names of some of the ladies that were there, and got another clear, direct response through the spirit box.
Robert, did you have a special lady here? What was her name?
No, we've been talking about the book. He'd been talking about the book just before, like not
Yeah.
too long before that. That's what started that conversation.
And I actually wanted to take that book and make it a spreadsheet of all the names that were actually in it, just so that we could reference them later on. But again, when we asked what was her name, I mean, it's in the book. And we had been talking about that book earlier in the evening. So when it said it's in the book, I mean, my jaw just dropped. I couldn't believe that we got that. But you heard early on that we referred to him as Robert. And we weren't just doing that, because just prior to hearing the response about in the book, we got a male voice in plain as day that told us what his name was, and we'll play that right now.
Was it a brothel?
Looking for that? Maybe a speakeasy? There's a speakeasy around here?
What did it say, Hank?
What was that?
Oh, what did it say?
I want to say it's great or something, but I heard something.
Where's the speakeasy
That sounded
at?
like a gentleman. Huh? Were
That's-
you one of
Scared the shit out of
the men that came here often to see a lady? Ladies? Hey, Robert. Was it a brothel?
Looking for that? Maybe a speakeasy? There's a speakeasy around here?
What did it say, Hank?
What was that?
What did it say?
I want to say it's great or something, but I heard something.
Where's the speakeasy
That sounded
at?
like a gentleman. Huh? Were
That's-
you one of
Scared the shit out of
the men that came here often to see a lady? Ladies? Hey, Robert.
Everywhere I go, there's a Robert. Robert in
there
my
you go.
family. Robert.
But yeah, so that was pretty much, like I said, that was everything that we got from that session, and that whole session probably went on for an hour.
Yeah.
And there were a lot more responses to some of the things that we got. As a matter of fact, one of the interesting things that happened, and there is actually one more clip. One of the interesting things that happened there, while everyone was upstairs, is we heard what sounded like something being drug across the floor,
Which is common to hear that there. Yeah.
which it was one of, like you said, one of the common occurrences there. And this is one of the longest responses that I think I've ever heard come through a spirit box session that was the same voice over multiple frequencies. And I don't know if it was directing us to where it was, or where it was going, or where a particular something was, or someone, maybe a lady, but it was definitely a male voice.
Kenny, do you know the little boy that Tabitha saw? Kenny, are you here? Kenny, do you know the little boy that Tabitha saw? Kenny, are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, so we didn't react.
Which is something, there's something else that I just remembered that occurred that night before we got started with the investigation. As you come up the stairs to the lower, it kind of goes up, comes across the landing, and then up again. And what was believed to be Kenny's room is the first room at the top of the stairs on the left. And Sheena was giving us a tour, and she went up there, and somehow there's a little side table that sits beside the bed, and it had pushed over and was actually preventing the door from opening before that investigation occurred. And that spirit box response, we believe, was actually responding to the same room, which I believe was Kenny's room, or what was referred to as Kenny's room. And you know, it said to the left in there. But that was, like I said, that was just one of the more fantastic spirit box sessions that we've had. So Brandon asked earlier, we're going to get to Brandon's question. He may or may not still be in here depending on what's on TV, what Good Kids show's on. But he did ask, you know, he was a huge fan. We appreciate you for watching the show. But he did have a question. He says, would you recommend the Spirit Box or other ITV devices like the Echo Box or Phasma Box? And that is a good question. Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was very slow to be receptive to the apps, right? I don't know why. I mean, the SB7 has its own challenges or questions, but I think mine goes back to, I started off with the Echo Box. And I think we saw it actually on the Wraith Chasers, right? The Wraith Chasers were using it. And we were with Scott Porter one day, and I flat out just asked him. I said, you know, I tried to use it. It doesn't seem it's work. I asked him to explain it to me. So once Porter explained it to me, and then he actually he said, here's my settings, right? So I copied him. But the Echo Box I do like because one, it's not always giving. It's like the Spirit Box, right? It doesn't always give you the replies. It sometimes it's nothing. And it's chunks of like sounds. It's not a word bank. I'm not a big fan of something that is a word bank. I have seen plenty of the apps as well as devices that are just word banks. And I'm like, well, God, it just said that word 3 times over the last 2 hours, you know? So stuff like that, I'm not a fan of. But the Echo Box, I know when I use it on occasion now because I have, you know, Explorers, but Bell Grove, that is probably one of the best evidence I've ever had with the Echo Box, because we went through that session and John was trying to get it to interact with one of the devices, and he said he was explaining it to it, and we got okay, and then we did MJ saying, can you say life goes on? And clear as a bell, this woman goes, life goes on. So it was almost like singing, right? And then the last part was, we did the tinny time, tell me the name of someone, or can you tell me who you love? First I got F you. I went, well, that was, I mean, it was very clear. He goes, you bitch. And I was like, oh my God. But when I did it again, it said Ava. Ava is not a common word. Ava was the head cook there at Belgrove. So I do like the Echo Box. I've ventured out into, I haven't used this Phasma Box. I know, Brandon, I think you use that. So I don't have enough experience with that to interact. I've just tried the Spiritus. I'm not good at it yet. Maybe I don't understand it. Necrophonics is one I use. I've had some good stuff with that. And actually, speaking of Brandon, was at Octagon. We stumbled upon a spirit that we thought was another brothel, because it did. It said brothel, and it was interacting with John. And it said, "Do you like John?" It's yes. And when he said, "Are you a male spirit?" What did it say? I don't know or no. So we had some interest there. But Brandon came in and said, "Safe word is Oklahoma," and he said, "What's the safe word?" And it said Oklahoma, and it's not recording. So when I use the apps, I definitely have it on airplane mode. I don't have anything set to where it can, some of them automatically don't allow it, but making sure it doesn't like record what we're saying, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm always going to be a doubter that if you can record me and say, or access my phone, my name's Lynn or something. But so that's where I stand. And like I said, I have to really, I don't know, it's just like the Spirit Box. I have to hear something compelling. I mean, I do like the Spirit Box, but a lot of times I will run it simply for white noise. Mm-hmm. You'll hear me walking around just to generate white noise. And if I get a reply, great. But sometimes I'll just run it for the sake of running it. But that's my experience. So I have some fun times with it. I have some great things, but you know. What? You're looking at me like I'm cool.
No, I'm good. No, you're fine.
You're still reminiscing about the male spirit.
That's right. That's right. If you're listening to male spirit, no. I kind of have the same opinion. You know, at first I hated them. I just, you know, as apps go with phones and things like that, I didn't get into them. For every good app I think is out there, there's an equally terrible app that is deceiving. So I think a lot of that comes from information about the developer, which you can get through the app itself by finding out who actually developed it. And I've even actually reached out to a couple of developers to quiz them on how the apps work. And again, it's one of those things where I used to hate them. Now I've used them before. I think the Necrophonics and there's one other one that I think that we use,
Echo Box,
the Echo Box
yeah.
and the Necrophonics we use. I prefer the Echo Box just because of the responses that I've heard come through that.
Yeah, which are weird.
Yeah, so
like can't explain it.
So yeah, I think to say that applications on your device, if we're talking about, you know, why a spirit can manipulate words through this, why couldn't they essentially do the same thing coming through an application playing on a speaker through your phone, or through your phone speaker itself? Mm-hmm. So to not kind of trust what they're capable of doing, I think you're selling yourself short. And I kind of hate the fact that I didn't immediately take to the Spirit Box or even some of the apps earlier on, because I really feel like I missed some great opportunities with them, and I'm glad that Lynn was persistent in doing so.
I will tell you, one of the apps that I pulled up is I laugh at this one.
I don't like this app. This app's trash.
But Kristen can attest to that.
It's trash.
It is. Well, let me explain. So you guys have seen everybody walk around with this app, right? You can see that. And what it's going to do.
Oh, that's not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking about the Ghost Radar app.
Oh, no. The Ghost Radar app is like, oh, it's in the corner. But no, this is one that a lot of people, if you're on investigations, you'll see them use this. And what it does is, you know, when it's going to spike. And now I have this on. I don't have mine on airplane mode. But, and I know it's going to say something. I will tell you, I don't use this as a serious method at all. Like it says, wait, okay, well, great, it just called me back. That's great.
That's solid, son of a bitch.
But the weird thing with that, when COVID hit and we were like bored out of our ever-loving mind, Kristen and I said, we actually do this for entertainment, and I stress that. We got bored one night and we were running it, and Kristen says, great when you're bored. And it put my other daughter's name, Erin, up, Erin, and she walked through the door. And Chris went, oh. But then we had just gotten some of, or I had gotten some things from Christopher Booth. We had them lay down on the table. And again, you got to remember, we're bored out of our mind, literally. And Kristen goes, can you tell me one of the devices or one of the items that's on the table? So we had like a rosary, we had a bracelet, we had also, and it literally it described the bracelet. So great to me, entertainment. I see a lot of people using this. Don't know if there's ever any validity, but this is not one of my go-to by any means for a serious investigation. But some people, I don't know. Some people, you see a lot of people using this, so maybe they have better luck than I do, but it has provided some definite great entertainment for me and Kristen during our COVID days.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So anyway, so we're at the bottom of the hour. Well, yeah, so 9:30. We're just about on our time. I want to say thank you to everyone that tuned in, and we hope that you got something from the discussions about Spirit Box. If nothing else, you got to listen to some really great Spirit Box responses. And I will say this, we are also streaming on YouTube as well as Facebook for the first time tonight.
Woo, so those of you
that I'm seeing in the comments that are actually watching us through YouTube, if you haven't done so already, please go give us a follow. We're trying to get our YouTube presence.
Brandon did the safe word. Brandon's echoing the safe word. Oklahoma safe word.
We're trying to get our YouTube presence set up.
Subscribe.
YouTube RVAParanormal.com or YouTube RVA Paranormal. Check out that Battleship North Carolina video that we just put out. We'll have another one coming out soon. We're going to do some shorts and things like that and start throwing that out there.
You're going to be in shorts?
Shorts. Don't want to miss that.
And we got some haunted night scenes coming up that we personally, sadly, will miss. But
Right. So let's get on to that. So we'd like to thank our stream sponsor for this year, Haunted Nights Paranormal Events, for coming in large and sponsoring us.
They just had an incredible weekend at the Battleship while we were at NIMBCons. We had a great time too, but we did miss being with them at the Battleship in Norfolk. Yep. So
can't make them all, but still some great ones coming up this year. So speaking of St. Albans, June 24th and 25th, the company Dinner with a Ghost will be taking their show on the road. From Wytheville at the Octagon Mansion, they're coming to St. Albans and will be serving a 4-course meal in St. Albans, where they will attempt to get spirits to interact during the dinner. If you've been to the Wytheville Octagon Mansion Dinner with a Ghost, it's going to be a very similar experience, and it's the first time that the company Dinner with a Ghost has actually come to St. Albans and tried this.
So if you can go, because one, the food is incredible.
Absolutely.
But to have it at St. Albans, I think is absolutely going to be, I don't know, it's going to be great. I think it is going to be very unique. I know. I'm really sad that we're going to miss that. Unfortunately, that's the weekend that we were taking off.
Yeah, but don't let that discourage you.
I know you'll miss us, but you know, hey.
They're in spirit.
Try to go if you can go at all.
Then staying on with St. Albans, this is the year of St. Albans. Chris and Mike are going to be back at St. Albans.
The sun won't be freezing.
July 9th.
Yeah.
July 9th. And if you remember the last time I went to St. Albans, I think it was January, February, and it was about -9 degrees in the building. And it was terrible. Well, guess what?
The activity was great. The weather was horrible.
Sweating. No, it's going to be nice. July, the July.
Sadly, we'll miss that too.
Family vacation. It's going to be a fantastic time to go and do that. But we'll be at the beach. So there again with you guys in spirit. Then big one coming up. Missouri State
Who wants to run a bus and we all go together?
September 10th. Chris and Mike from the Ray Chasers. Going to be a huge event. First time at this location. If anybody's wondering, from Richmond, it's about a 12-hour drive. From RIC, it's about a 4-hour flight. But this place is massive.
We've got, like I said, let's everybody join in together. We'll run a bus and go.
We're going to do what we can to be there, and hopefully, if you guys going out that way, we'll see you there on that one as well. But that is our show for tonight.
And we'll tell you, stay tuned. I'm fingers crossed that next week, waiting for confirmation.
Maybe not next week.
Maybe next week, maybe the week. No, yours is, we have 2.
I understand, but I might have a business trip next week. Remember? Okay. But please tell them who's coming up. But
I won't.
Be in the
I'm going to be surprised. Anyway, we have 2 people that were lining up for the guests. There are 2 awesome guests. One, I know John's talking with the other one. I'm talking with. No, because what if he ends up saying he said he would? I don't want to ruin it yet.
Okay, so we might have someone coming on the show that owns 2 locations, 3 locations that has
been on TV, been on My Paranormal Experience. And then we've got 2 great guests that were lining up, and he did say unfortunately he may have to go to Raleigh, but if he's smart, right, he'll arrange that not on a Thursday, right? Priorities. So but no, I'm going to talk to, and hopefully we'll see if it'll be the week next week. Actually, this person is filming tonight, so
we'll nail those down. Hopefully tomorrow I'll know if I need to travel out of town next Thursday or not. I'm going to do what I can to maybe get down there, either leave town if I have to after the stream. But we will make the announcements, get the flyers up for our 2 special guests that are coming up in the upcoming 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
Sad face.
So again, like I said, if work calls, we have to
keep our job.
Because unless y'all start donating, we're going to have to continue to work. So whenever work calls, we'll do that. But again, like I said, we do this to have fun. We appreciate you coming in and joining us.
Thank you so very much.
Panda, hopefully we'll be back next week if I am. If Panda's brain.
Brandon and I can do it. I know how to work this stuff.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Who has faith that I can work?
Absolutely,
I
you
could,
could totally do
I
it.
could totally do this. I've
Totally
watched
do
you
it.
enough. I know how to start it, open it, click it, clicky, clicky.
Clicky,
Lots of clicking. I got it.
Lots of clicking.
I do.
Yeah. So
If
we'll
not,
see how
Brandon
that.
does.
If that happens, I'll be watching from wherever I am. Most definitely.
He'll be in a bar.
But
The hotel bar.
again, thank you guys for tuning
Thank
in. We hope you
you.
enjoyed it. If you're watching this now, like I said, give us a follow on Facebook, a like on Facebook, and follow us on YouTube. And we'll see you hopefully next week.
All right. Thanks. Bye.